Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another malicious compliance Reddit video. In our first story, a frat boy wants Viagra. Let's jump right in. I'm sharing this story with permission from a colleague of mine from a former job. My friend, who's a male nurse, worked at the Student Health Center at a large, very well-to-do university on the eastern seaboard. This is the kind of place that lets a few poor folk in to balance out the avalanche of legacies, the kind of people who show up on the all-name lacrosse teams list, posted every once in a while. This afforded him the opportunity to interact with dozens of Chads, Rachels, Tuckers, and Emmas every day, but more so the Chads and Tuckers, since he was also a guy and naturally was seen for guy-related visits. One day, a Chad pays him a visit in triage with a chief complaint of private. This isn't unusual for people to write on their intake form when it's something embarrassing, and so male nurse ushers Chad back to a triage room to get the story. Turns out Chad has a problem. He'd been partying last weekend and tried to hook up with Emma from Greek letter sorority, but he'd been totally plastered and was unable to perform. So what Chad wanted in order to solve this problem was a prescription for Viagra. Male nurse raises an eyebrow and calmly explains to Chad that whiskey dick is a pretty normal thing, and instead he should try to simply drink less if he wanted to hook up with sorority girls. Chad, however, finds this an unreasonable request and begins to berate male nurse. "I pay your salary with my tuition money. My dad is a booster. He knows the college president and the football coach, etc., etc." Male nurse considers this for a minute and finally says to Chad, "Listen, our providers at Student Health are not allowed to write for Viagra prescriptions, but I know what we can do." And so male nurse writes a referral to a local physician for Chad. Someone your age having severe erectile dysfunction is very unusual, wink, so I'll put a note in the computer that we need to get you in to see a doctor, and he can absolutely write you a prescription for whatever you need. Chad is apparently beyond thrilled, all high fives and "Thanks, bro, you are so bro. Male nurse smiles and sends Chad on his way. Because male nurse knows a late teens, early 20s-year-old male having severe erectile dysfunction is very unusual and requires the services of a specialist in order to determine the best course of action, specifically a urologist. And what Chad didn't seem to realize is that when you go to see the urologist, part and parcel with that is a prostate exam. My friend, male nurse, never saw Chad back again, but he likes to think that Chad had the same kind of eye-opening experience that John Mulaney had in similar circumstances. In story number 2, we have a smug guy who, well, he's gonna order for the table. I worked as a server for a small brand new family-owned restaurant. The place was one step below white tablecloth and had a bar on one side with the restaurant on the other. The owners were awesome and provided industry professionals to train us on how best to treat a customer and maximize our tips. As an example of how effective this training was, on opening day I dropped an entire tray of drinks down a woman's back, yet this family returned several more times and would only let me serve them. The owner brought them a parka the first time they returned. One technique we were taught was to establish who was paying from social cues and make sure they are happy. If a couple comes in and you believe the man is paying, make the woman feel like a queen. When it's time to pay, she'll likely encourage a higher tip. Incredibly effective. As I finished taking an order, I noticed a family of 4 being sat in my section and stopped by immediately to introduce myself. My assessment is this: husband and wife, very nicely dressed, their beautiful early 20s daughter, my age, and what I gather is her boyfriend wearing a suit and tie. Dad is very clearly paying, but aspiring businessman here interrupts mom when she's ordering her drink to inform me he'll be ordering for the table. If looks could kill, the father would have taken out this young man and probably 10 people in the bar area. Oh, buddy, your night is not going to go the way you thought. Every time I returned to the table, I would face him, only look at and talk to him, turning my back to the father. The daughter asked for something, I don't remember what, and without ever acknowledging her, I asked him, "May she have that?" He barely stammered out a yes. When I brought the bill, I said it right in front of him. They hung around for a while, and I continued to check in and refill drinks while the bill remained untouched. I think Dad was making him sweat. Eventually, Dad grabs the bill and puts his card in. I brought back the receipt and thanked the young man for coming in and walked away. I was returning from another table when they were getting up from the table, and the young man moved to the door at a speed that made lightning look slow. The other three were all smiles, and the dad looked across the dining room and mouthed, "Thank you." I gave him a smile and a nod and continued on my way. The tip amount is a number I don't remember, but I know it was good, really good. It must have been a small wedding because I never received an invite. Here's an edit. I am trying to keep up on replies, but I'm a bit overwhelmed at the moment. Thank you everybody for the kind words and awards. They have been fun to read. From the comments and a few PMs, I would like to make a few comments. You were rude. Yes, absolutely. This situation could have blown up in spectacular fashion. I took a chance not thinking of the potential downsides and came out just fine. In my culture, this is expected. I am aware of that, and had the young man been respectful, I would have gone along with it. It was not my intention to disrespect cultural norms, rather to put a smug buffoon in the spotlight. How is this malicious compliance? Judging by the replies, upvotes, and the posts still being up, I'm guessing at least 3 people think that it is. Story number 3. When I get a minute, eh? Sure. Another Reddit thread today reminded me of my minor malicious compliance. Many moons ago, when I was in my early 20s, I was working as a server in the huge Earth globe at the happiest place on Earth. I had only been there for maybe 3 months, but my ridiculous knowledge of the tons of movie memorabilia scattered throughout the restaurant made me a pretty fun server to have. I am an overactor, and as a server was quite fun and entertaining. As such, management would give me tables that were upset because I could almost always reverse that attitude and produce happy customers. Well, there was a 12 top that someone got overlooked and waited over 2 hours for a table. Wait times here would vary from 45 minutes to an hour and a half on average during dinner service. You would get a pager and could go visit the other stores and shops at the downtown destination while you waited. Well, the family, I am told, was pissed. After everyone is seated, I get started lightening the mood and welcoming them and launch into tour guide, order taker mode, suggesting some bomb-ass apps and drinks as I go around the table. Workflow here demanded an intro within 45 seconds of being sat and drinks on the table within 3 minutes, apps on table within 10. We moved fast. My table turnover rate was an average of 45 minutes. This is important. I drop off the drinks and begin to take entree orders. As I finish, customer Bill shakes his now empty glass of water, now only ice, that I set down literally 1 minute earlier, at me and says, "Hey, Cavian, when you have a minute." "Sure, Bill. I'll get right on that." We had a touchscreen point-of-sale system that was pretty consistent, so you could actually get ahead of the system before the screen could refresh. So if you knew where everything was on the screen, you could enter orders and be done before the system caught up. I finished entering the 12 tops order, process a payment for another table, print the final check for a third, and make desserts for my last one. I come out with a full tray, drop off the card slip, check, and desserts. I let the 12 top know their apps will be out in just a few minutes and point out a few cool movie things they could see hanging from the ceiling. Customer Bill again rattles the ice in his empty glass at me and says, "Hey, Cavian," much to the annoyance of the rest of his group. I look him dead in the eye and stated, "I know, I just haven't had a minute," and walked off. I brought him a refill with the apps. This time I brought 2 glasses. I drink a lot of water with meals too, so I understood the thirst. The rest of the party was still laughing about my minute joke when I did. They had a great time. Bill lightened up and was laughing along with everyone else, and they left me a good tip. This is John from /Bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to see more of them, then hit that subscribe button. We would love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.